Hey guys, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Soulbinds and Conduits. They are a new feature coming to Shadowlands, and they complement gameplay through what you might have considered in the past as followers. Let's take a look. First off, I'm going to be explaining Soulbinds. Each covenant has their own soulbinds, and these soulbinds are basically NPCs that, instead of running around with you in zones, lend their powers to you. Each NPC contains their own lore, of course, and a talent tree-like progression system. These soulbind trees are specific to your class and spec, and contain all kinds of passives as you move through it, which I'll explain later. Each soulbind kind of works as a tier system, in that everything plays off another system called Renown, which I'll also explain later. But for now, all you need to know is that your Renown with your Covenant increases in rank, and you unlock Soulbind tiers accordingly. Now, when you're progressing through your Soulbind tree, you can only progress down one path, but it is easy to switch paths. Right now in the beta, it costs as little as 1 anima, but that could change in the future, as it could be just a placeholder in the beta. Next up, I'm going to be explaining Conduits. Every Soulbind tree has these things called Conduits. Conduits are just slots available to you to slot in class and spec specific passives that grant bonuses. The different Conduits available will be explained later in the video as well. Conduit slots, if you take a look, have role-like icons beneath them. This means that Conduit passives of that type can only be used in that specific slot. The different types of Conduits are Endurance, Finesse, and Potency Conduits. It seems like Endurance Conduits are those that help survivability, Finesse Conduits help with utility, and Potency Conduits are more of a damage dealing type of conduit. Something that I have also found that may be different in-game, only because I don't have access to beta and everything I'm doing is based off of websites, is that Conduits seem to all be the same selection no matter which covenant you are pledged to. Here we're going to talk about all of the passive soulbinds found with the different soulbind NPCs. So we're going to start with Kyrian, and we're going to start with Pelagos. First off, he has Let Go of the Past. Using this spell or ability, or using a spell or ability increases your versatility by 1% for 10 seconds. Using another spell or ability increases this amount by 1% when it is not a repeat of the previous spell or ability, stacking to 5%. Down here we have Phial of Patience. Phial of Serenity heals you for 35% extra health, but all of its healing is done over 10 seconds. Here we have Road of Trials. Defeating an enemy grants you 10% movement speed for 20 seconds. This effect is increased if defeating a powerful enemy. Next we have Focusing Mantra. Defeating an enemy lowers the cooldown of your Phial of Serenity by 1 second. Down here we have Bond of Friendship. Defeating an enemy reduces the cooldown of your Steward's non-Phial services by 1 second. And we have Cleansed Vestments. You have a chance to obtain Cleansed Cloth and Enchanting Materials when you kill an enemy that yields experience or honor. And down here, the last one, we have Combat Meditation. Activating your Kyrian class ability increases your mastery by 5% for 20 seconds and occasionally expels sorrowful memories. Walking through sorrowful memories extends the effect by 3 seconds. Next up on the list we have Clea. Her passive soulbinds are Ascendant Phial. Phial of Serenity renders you immune to curse, disease, poison, and bleed effects for 15 seconds. Over here we have Mentorship. While above 90% health, you increase nearby party members' maximum health by 5%. Down here we have Resonant Accolades. When receiving healing while above 70% health or healing an ally that's above 70% health, 3% of the healing done is repeated to the target over 5 seconds. Here we have Bearer's Pursuit. Your damaging spells and abilities have a chance to increase your target's movement speed by 30% for 20 seconds. And here we have Pointed Courage. Critical strike is increased by 1% for every nearby enemy or ally up to 5%. Down here we have Cleansing Rites. After 5 seconds out of combat, gain a shield for 10% of your maximum health. And over here we have Ever Forward. While above 90% health, your mounted movement speed is increased by 10%. And the last one under Clea is Valiant Strikes. You and your nearby allies' critical strikes grant you stacks of Valiant Strikes up to 40. At 40 stacks, you heal yourself for 10% of your maximum health, and up to 4 nearby allies for 5% of their maximum health over 10 seconds. Next up after Clea, we have Forgelite Prime Mechanicos. His passives are Charged Additive. Vial of Serenity also knocks nearby enemies away from you. Forge Light Filter. When reduced below 35% health, your Vial of Serenity automatically heals you and consumes a charge. Hammer of Genesis. Damaging a new enemy grants you 2% haste for 10 seconds, up to 5 stacks. Sparkling Drift Globe Core. When reduced below 35% health, you stun nearby enemies for 3 seconds. This effect may only occur once every 60 seconds. Soulsteel Clamps. After 5 seconds standing still, incoming stun and incapacitation durations are reduced by 20%. Lasts for 5 seconds once you start moving. Down here we have Regenerating Materials. Casting or receiving healing has a chance to improve the remaining durability on your armor. Here we have a Resilient Plumage. Fall damage decreased by 20%, and after taking fall damage, damage you take is reduced by 20% for 15 seconds. And the last one here is Bronze Call to Action. After using 120 damaging or healing spells and abilities, your next spell or ability summons Brawn, knocking back enemies on arrival and who attacking and healing your targets for 30 seconds. Alright, now time to move on to the Necrolord Covenant. We're going to start here with Plague Deviser Merileth. His first passive is Volatile Solvent. Using Fleshcraft with nearby corpses derives a benefit from a corpse, differing based on the creature's type. Down here we have Travel with Bloop. While standing still, you slowly build stacks of Bloop's Wanderlust. At 10 stacks, your movement speed is increased by 10% for 2 minutes. Here we have Ooze's Frictionless Coating. While reduced below 50% health, Ooze courses over you, granting you a shield of 10% of your maximum health for 20 seconds. It may only occur once per 30 seconds. Next is Plaguey's Preemptive Strike. Your first attack or spell cast on an enemy increases your damage done to them by 10% for 15 seconds. Limit is 1. Down here we have Kevin's Keyring. Allows opening of locks that require up to 60 skill once every 24 hours. Each 1 second spent channeling Fleshcraft reduces Kevin's Keyring's cooldown by 60 minutes. Next up we have Plagueborn Cleansing Slime. Defeating enemies has a chance to deploy your Plagueborn Cleansing Slime, which improves the remaining durability on your armor. And then the last one here is Ultimate Form. While channeling Fleshcraft, you are immune to crowd control. Finishing the full channel grants you another 4 seconds of crowd control immunity. After Plague Deviser Merileth, we have Emini. Emini's passives are Emini's Magnificent Skin. Activating your Necrolord class ability increases your maximum health by 5% for 30 seconds. Over here we have Emini's Ambulatory Flesh. You may channel Fleshcraft while moving. We have Cartilaginous Legs. I hope I said that right. After taking falling damage, the health lost becomes a shield lasting 30 seconds. Hearth Kidney Stone. You may attune your Hearth Kidney Stone to any resting location and return to it. 24-hour cooldown, reduced by 5 minutes every killing blow. Next we have Gristled Toes. Movement speed increased by 2% for every nearby enemy, up to 10%. Gnashing Chompers. Gain 1% haste for every 20 seconds after defeating an enemy, up to 5%. And Sulfuric Emission. When reduced below 20% health, you fear nearby enemies for 3 seconds. It may only occur once per 60 seconds. The last guy we have here is Embody the Construct. After using 60 spells or abilities, your next Fleshcraft will deal attack power times 1.8 times 1 plus versatility, shadow damage, to up to 5 nearby enemies over the duration, and heal up to 5 nearby allies for attack power times 2.7 times 1 plus versatility. And after Emini, we come to Bonesmith Hemir. Airmere? Anyways, Serrated Spalders is his first passive. Inflict attack power times 0.1 times 1 plus versatility times 5 shadow damage to your attacker over 5 seconds when hit at melee range. Over here we have Resourceful Flesh Crafting. Defeating an enemy reduces Fleshcraft's cooldown by 1 second. Here we have Airmir's Arsenal. Ravenous Pendant. Defeating an enemy restores 1% of your maximum health after 3 seconds, stacks to 5. Here we have Airmir's Arsenal Gore Stompers. Damaging or healing a target below 35% grants you 25% increased movement speed for 5 seconds after you start moving. May only occur once per minute. And we have Airmir's Arsenal Marrow Gemstone. After landing 10 critical strikes, you gain 20% increased chance to critical strike for 20 seconds. May only occur once per 60 seconds. Here we have Runeforged Spurs. Mounted movement speed is increased by 5%. If attacked while mounted, mounted movement speed is increased by an additional 10% for 5 seconds. Next we have Bonesmith's Satchel. You have a chance to obtain a satchel of a Bonesmith's preferred ore and gems when you kill an enemy that yields experience or honor. And the last guy we have Forgeborn Reveries. Upon death, your armor continues to flight, allowing you to fight for an additional 10 seconds. During this time, your damage and healing done is reduced by 50% and you cannot receive healing. So, moving on to the next Covenant Night Fae, we will start with Naya. Her passives are Run Without Tiring. While in Soul Shape, you generate 5% of your maximum health every 3 seconds. Next we have Stay on the Move. Soul Shape's cooldown is reduced by 15 seconds, and defeating an enemy reduces Soul Shape's cooldown by 1 second. Naya's Tools, Burrs. Your damaging attacks and spells have a chance to toss Naya's spiked burrs under your target. The burrs latch onto the first enemy to cross them, reducing movement speed by 20% and inflicting attack power times 0.1 times 1 plus versatility times 6 nature damage over 6 seconds. Next we have Naya's Tools, Poison. Your interrupts apply Naya's paralytic poison to your target, dealing attack power times 0.1 times 1 plus versatility times 30 nature damage over 30 seconds. Targets with Naya's paralytic poison take an additional attack power times 0.3 times 1 plus versatility nature damage if interrupted once more. Next is Naya's Tools, Herbs. Your healing spells and abilities have a chance to apply Naya's invigorating herbs, increasing the target's haste by 2% for 20 seconds. Down here we have Nature's Splendor. You have a chance to obtain leather, meat, and fish when you kill an enemy that yields experience or honor. Next up we have Swift Patrol. Movement speed increased by 20% for 2 minutes after defeating an enemy. Combat cancels this effect. Last one is Grove Invigoration. Healing or dealing damage has a chance to grant you a stack of redirected anima up to 10. Activating your Night Fae class ability grants you 1% maximum health and 2% increased mastery per stack for 30 seconds. Okay, and after Naya, we have the Dreamweaver. Field of Blossoms is the Dreamweaver's first passive. Activating your Night Fae class ability puts flowers at your feet. For 15 seconds, that increases your haste by 5% while you stand with them. Flowers may only bloom once every minute. Next we have Social Butterfly. When at least 2 allies are within 8 yards, your versatility increases by 5% for 5 seconds. When this expires, 2 nearby allies gain this bonus for 5 seconds before passing it back to you. Soothing Voice. When your roots, stuns, and incapacitating class effects end, your target's move speed is reduced by 90%, decaying rapidly over 2 seconds. Next is Empowered Chrysalis. 10% of your overhealing received or done remains as a shield on the target, up to 10% of the caster's health, lasting for 5 seconds. Next we have Fairy Dust. When falling farther than 20 yards, Fairy Dust slows your fall. Next we have Somnambulist. After spending 60 seconds in a rested area, you gain 20% increased movement speed for 30 minutes. The last one here is Pod Tender. When you take damage that would kill you, instead rejuvenate with a wild seed, regaining 30% of HP over 10 seconds. If the wild seed takes more than attack power times 10 times 1 damage during this time, you die. This effect may only occur once every 30 minutes. The last Soulbind for the Night Fae is Kyrian. Kyrian has Horn of the Wild Hunt. Soul Shape increases the movement speed of allies within 40 yards by 10%. Next is Wild Hunt's Charge. While out of combat, your Soul Shape's teleport becomes a charge, stunning your target for 5 seconds and ending your Soul Shape. Down here we have Face Your Foes. When in front of your target, your spells and abilities decrease the damage they inflict on you by 2% for 2 seconds. First Strike. Damaging an enemy before they damage you increases your chance to critical strike by 10% for 10 seconds. After that we have Hold the Line. After standing still for 5 seconds, you take 10% less physical damage until you move. Next down here we have Vork Sharpening Techniques. Your weapon takes no durability damage. After that we Get in Formation. Your mounted movement speed is increased by 3%. Allies behind you within 40 yards gain this benefit. The last guy here is Wild Hunt Tactics. Your damage to targets above 75% health and healing to targets below 35% health is increased by 10%. When your spells and abilities are enhanced this way, you gain 10% increased movement speed for 5 seconds. Moving on to the last covenant, the Venthyr, we're going to start with Nadia, the Mistblade. She has Agent of Chaos. Door of Shadows disorients all nearby enemies at the target location for 6 seconds when you appear. Next we have Fancy Footwork. Door of Shadows increases your movement speed by 40%, decaying over 6 seconds. Next we have Friends in Low Places. You loot 20% more infused rubies, and dredgers throughout Revendreth offer you an expanded selection of goods. Down here we have Exacting Preparation. The benefits of well-fed flask and weapon enchant effects are increased by 15%. This one here is Familiar Predicaments. The duration of incoming interrupt, snare, and root effects are reduced by 25%. Here we have Dauntless Duelist. The first enemy you damage in combat is marked as your adversary. You deal 4% more damage to them and they deal 2% less damage to you. You may only have one adversary at a time. The last guy here is Thrill Seeker. While in combat, you gain a stack of Thrill Seeker every 2 seconds, or 4 stacks on killing an enemy. At 40 stacks, Thrill Seeker is consumed to grant you Euphoria, increasing your haste by 20% for 10 seconds. Thrill Seeker decays rapidly while you are not in combat. Next up for the Venthyr Soulbinds, we have Theotar the Mad Duke. His passives are Watch the Shoes. Door of Shadows frees you from roots and snares. Next up we have Leisurely Gait. Door of Shadows has 2 charges, but its cooldown is increased by 30 seconds. Next is Refined Palate. The effects of combat potions last 20% to 100% longer. After that we have Soothing Shade. Your spells and abilities have a chance to call Tubbins and Gubbins to your side for 12 seconds. Parasol in hand, standing in the shaded area grants you 350 mastery. Next up is Token of Appreciation. Grant a shield that absorbs attack power times 0.5 times 1 plus versatility, damage to allies who aid you with healing or beneficial magic effects. You will only shield each ally once every 20 seconds. Down here we have Life of the Party. During the Ember Court, your guests gain additional happiness for each event completed. With the when the court concludes, the effects of any decrees bestowed upon you are increased. Next up is Exquisite Ingredients. You have a chance to obtain an assortment of flavorful herbs and beverages when you kill an enemy that yields experience or honor. The last passive here for Theotar's Soulbind Tree, we have Wasteland Propriety. Activating your Venthyr class ability signals the start of tea time. granting 10% versatility to you and 4% versatility to up to 4 nearby allies. Lasts 10 seconds. The last Soulbinds for Venthyr is General Draven. He's also going to be the last Soulbind tree that is available to us, which will be the last Soulbinds that I talk about, and then we'll be moving on to Conduits. His passives are Unbreakable Body. Your equipment takes 50% less durability damage from death. Next one is Expedition Leader. Leaving a resting area increases your mounted speed by 10% and your out-of-combat regeneration by 100%. Lasts 10 minutes, and completing a world quest refreshes the duration. Next we have Built for War. While you are above 80% health, you gain 1% of a primary stat every 3 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. If you fall below 50% health, this effect is lost. Superior Tactics. Successfully interrupting an enemy or dispelling an ally increases your critical strike chance by 10% every 10 seconds. This may only occur once every 30 seconds. Next is Hold Your Ground. Standing still for at least 4 seconds grants you 10% increased stamina and 4% increased healing done. This effect persists for 4 seconds after you start moving. Down here we have Enduring Gloom. Door of Shadows grants you a shield that absorbs damage equal to 15% of your maximum health, lasting 8 seconds. After that we have Move as One. When a nearby ally gains temporary increased movement speed, you also gain the benefit up to 30% for 8 seconds. The last passive for General Draven is Service in Stone. Damage taken below 40% health is reduced by 10%. Upon death you have a stone husk behind. You leave a stone husk behind, which shatters after 3 seconds, inflicting 100% of your maximum health and damage split among nearby enemies, and healing for 100% of your maximum health split among nearby enemies. Alright, and starting from where we left off here, because it doesn't matter which Covenant or which Soulbind we have selected, I'm going to be talking about the different conduits we can get. Starting with Endurance Conduits here. So to begin, we have to select as a Protection Warrior, we have Brutal Vitality. 6% of the damage you deal adds to your active Ignore Pain. We have Indelible Victory, which is Victory Rush heals you for 400% of the damage it dealt over 8 seconds. We have a choice called Iron Maiden, which is Revenge has a 4% chance to refund a charge of shield block. Could be interesting. Stalwart Guardian is the cooldown of shield wall is reduced by 40 seconds. And we have Unnerving Focus, which is last stand increases your rage generation by 30%. Next up, we are going to talk about Finesse Conduits for the Protection Warrior. To start, we have Cacophonous Roar. Intimidating Shout can withstand 80% more damage before breaking. We have Disturb the Peace. Shockwave's cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds. We have Inspiring Presence. Rallying Cry's duration and health granted are increased by 20%. And we have Safeguard. Intervene reduces damage taken by the target by 10%. And last but not least, we have the Potency Conduits. Now, it kind of seems like we only have Ashen Juggernaut, which Execute increases the critical strike chance of Execute by 3% for 8 seconds, stacking up to 6 times. Everything else here seems like it's for other specs. Except for Show of Force, which is Revenge increases the damage of your next Thunderclap by 20%. Everything else seems like something from another spec. Like, we don't have Slam, we don't have Bloodthirst, Rampage. Any of this stuff is all for something else. So it seems like we only have 2 here, but yeah. Now, according to this article on Wowhead, we have Covenant Warrior Potency Soulbind Conduits. They're specific to the Covenant. So the first one here is Piercing Verdict. We have a Kyrian Potency Conduit. Spear of Bastion's instant damage and rage generation. are increased by 20%. The Venthyr Potency Conduit is Harrowing Punishment. Condemns damage dealt and prevented are increased by 8% for each nearby enemy, up to 40%. The Necrolord Potency Conduit, brandishing the Conqueror's banner immediately grants you 5 glory, and while the banner is planted, your strength is increased by 12%, called Veteran's Repute. And then the Night Fade Potency Conduit is Destructive Reverberations. Ancient Aftershock's cooldown is reduced by 15 seconds. Now that I've gone through all of the passive Soulbinds for each Covenant and the Conduits, I want to talk a little bit about Renown and explain it. So Renown is a Covenant-specific system that measures your progress of favor within your chosen Covenant. It is also considered a currency that will be displayed under your Currency tab and cannot be banked and then converted into Renown for another Covenant. It is not an open-ended grind like Azerite Power was, and is also limited on how much you can get per week. Gaining Renown will eventually help with things like progressing Soulbinds, potential within your Covenant's Sanctum, World Quest reward item level increases, gaining access to recipes for legendary rune forging at the Runecrafter in Torghast, and more. Apparently, it will also play a role in unlocking flying through the Pathfinder achievement in Shadowlands, and currently there are only 3 ways to gain Renown. Number 1, complete chapters from your Covenant campaign. Number 2, deliver certain amounts of anima per week to your Covenants. And number 3, rescue worthy souls from the maw and deliver them to your Covenant once per week. So, that is pretty much everything you'll need to know about Soulbinds and Conduits in Shadowlands. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please, if you did, leave a like, leave a comment letting me know what you thought of the video, subscribe and turn on notifications if you'd like to see more, and if you're into it, I am live every Monday to Friday at 4:30 PM CST on Twitch at twitch.tv/khromrok, and would love to see you there. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay safe and game hard. Rock out.